Have you ever wondered why nearly 70% of first-time homebuyers admit they regret their purchase within the first year? I'm talking about people who saved for years, did their research, worked with real estate agents, and still ended up feeling like they made a massive mistake. Today, I'm going to reveal the 7 hidden reasons why this happens and, more importantly, how you can avoid becoming another regret statistic. But first, let me tell you about Anna. Anna spent 3 years saving every penny for her dream home. She cut out coffee shops, skipped vacations, and lived with roommates well into her 30s. When she finally found what seemed like the perfect starter home, she jumped on it immediately. Fast forward 6 months, and Sarah was lying awake at night, calculating how much money she was losing every month, wondering if she'd just made the biggest financial mistake of her life. Anna's story isn't unique. In fact, it's becoming the norm. And the really scary part? Most of these regrets could have been completely avoided if these buyers had known what I'm about to share with you. The first reason so many first-time buyers regret their purchase is what I call the Instagram effect. Social media has completely warped our expectations of what homeownership should look like. We're constantly bombarded with images of perfect kitchens, flawless living rooms, and stunning outdoor spaces. But here's what nobody tells you about those picture-perfect homes. Most of those gorgeous spaces you see online took years to create and cost tens of thousands of dollars to achieve. That farmhouse kitchen with the subway tile backsplash and custom cabinets, that wasn't move-in ready. That cozy living room with the built-in shelving and perfect lighting, someone spent months planning and executing that design. First-time buyers see these images and expect their first home to look like a magazine spread from day one. When reality hits and they're staring at builder-grade everything in a house that needs work, disappointment sets in immediately. They start calculating renovation costs and realize they're looking at years of additional investment just to get their home to feel like home. But here's the thing that really gets first-time buyers into trouble. They don't just want their home to look perfect, they want it to feel perfect too. And this leads us to the second major reason for buyer's remorse: the emotional purchase trap. Buying a home is probably the most emotional purchase you'll ever make. You're not just buying a building, you're buying a lifestyle, a future, a place where you'll create memories. Real estate agents know this, and many of them use emotions to push buyers into making quick decisions. I've seen buyers fall in love with a house because of one stunning feature, maybe a beautiful fireplace or a gorgeous view, and completely ignore major red flags. They imagine themselves hosting dinner parties, decorating for holidays, or watching their future kids play in the backyard. These emotional connections are so powerful that they override logical thinking. The problem is that emotions fade, but mortgage payments don't. That gorgeous fireplace loses its charm when you realize the heating system is ancient and your utility bills are through the roof. That beautiful view doesn't matter as much when you discover the commute to work is brutal or the neighborhood isn't what you thought it would be. This emotional decision-making gets even worse when buyers feel pressure to act fast. In competitive markets, buyers are told they need to make offers immediately, sometimes without inspections or contingencies. The fear of missing out becomes so intense that people make 6-figure decisions in a matter of hours. Which brings me to the third reason for buyers' regret: the hidden cost avalanche. First-time buyers almost always underestimate the true cost of homeownership. They focus on the mortgage payment and maybe property taxes, but they completely miss the dozens of other expenses that come with owning a home. Let's break down what I mean. Beyond your mortgage, insurance, and taxes, you've got utilities that might be significantly higher than what you paid as a renter. You've got maintenance and repairs that can easily run thousands of dollars per year. You've got homeowner association fees if you're in an HOA. You've got the cost of lawn care, either doing it yourself or paying someone else. Then there are the one-time costs that hit you right after closing. You need to buy appliances if they weren't included. You need cleaning supplies, basic tools, maybe a lawnmower. You want to paint a few rooms or update light fixtures. These costs add up incredibly fast. But here's what really catches first-time buyers off guard: the emergency expenses. Your water heater dies in the middle of winter. Your air conditioning system breaks during a heat wave. A pipe bursts and floods your basement. As a renter, these were your landlord's problems. As a homeowner, they're your problems, and they can't wait for your next paycheck. I've talked to buyers who went from having a healthy emergency fund to being completely broke within 6 months of buying their first home, not because of poor planning, but because they had no idea how expensive homeownership really is. The fourth reason for buyer's remorse is what I call location blindness. First-time buyers often get so focused on the house itself that they don't properly evaluate the location. They fall in love with the kitchen and ignore the fact that their commute just doubled. They get excited about the backyard and don't notice that the neighborhood doesn't match their lifestyle. Location affects everything about your daily life. It determines how long you spend commuting, which impacts your stress levels and free time. It affects your access to restaurants, shopping, entertainment, and services. It influences the quality of schools if you have or plan to have children. It determines your property values and how easy it will be to sell when you're ready to move. But location evaluation goes deeper than just convenience factors. You need to understand the trajectory of the neighborhood. Is it improving or declining? Are new developments planned that could affect traffic or property values? What about noise levels throughout the day and week? How safe do you feel walking around at different times? Many first-time buyers do a quick drive through the neighborhood on a Saturday afternoon and think they understand the area. But neighborhoods can feel completely different on a Tuesday morning during rush hour or on a Friday night when people are out socializing. The fifth reason buyers regret their purchase is timing mistakes. Real estate markets are cyclical, but first-time buyers often don't understand these cycles or how to time their purchase appropriately. They buy at the peak of the market because they're afraid prices will keep going up forever, or they buy when interest rates are high because they don't want to wait for them to come down. Timing affects more than just the price you pay. It affects how much competition you face from other buyers, how negotiable sellers are willing to be, and how quickly you can find the right property. In hot markets, buyers feel pressured to compromise on their must-haves just to get into a house. In slow markets, buyers might find great deals, but worry about whether they're catching a falling knife. But timing isn't just about market conditions. Personal timing matters too. Buying a home right before a job change, during a relationship transition, or when you're not financially stable can turn homeownership into a nightmare. Your life circumstances should align with homeownership, not the other way around. The sixth reason for buyer's remorse is unrealistic expectations about the buying process itself. First-time buyers often think that finding and buying a home should be straightforward. You look at houses, find one you like, make an offer, and move in. But the reality is much more complex and stressful. The average home buyer looks at dozens of properties before making an offer. You'll probably lose out on several houses to other buyers. The inspection process might reveal problems that force you to renegotiate or walk away. Financing can hit unexpected snags even after you're pre-approved. Closing dates get delayed for reasons completely outside your control. This process can take months and be emotionally exhausting. Buyers who expect it to be simple and quick often end up making poor decisions because they're frustrated and want the process to be over. They settle for a house that doesn't really meet their needs, or they skip important steps like thorough inspections to speed things up. The seventh and perhaps most important reason for buyer's remorse is what I call the ready trap. This is the belief that you need to be completely ready for homeownership before you buy. Sounds logical, right? But here's the problem with this thinking. Many first-time buyers spend so much time trying to get ready that they never actually buy. They want to have a huge down payment saved, perfect credit, stable income, and a clear picture of their 5-year plan. While these are all good goals, perfectionism can prevent you from taking action when opportunities arise. On the flip side, some buyers convince themselves they're ready when they're really not. They stretch their budget to the breaking point, drain their savings for a down payment, or buy in areas they can't really afford because they want to get into homeownership as quickly as possible. The key is finding the balance between being prepared and being paralyzed by perfectionism. You don't need to have everything figured out, but you do need to have the basics covered: stable income, manageable debt levels, an emergency fund that won't be completely depleted by your down payment and closing costs, and a realistic understanding of what you can afford. So, how do you avoid becoming another buyer's remorse statistic? Let me give you a framework that can help you make a decision you'll be happy with for years to come. First, get brutally honest about your finances. Don't just calculate what you can afford based on mortgage pre-approval amounts. Lenders will often approve you for more than you should actually spend. Create a detailed budget that includes all the costs of homeownership: mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, HOA fees, and a buffer for unexpected expenses. Most financial experts recommend that your total housing costs shouldn't exceed 30% of your gross income. But I'd suggest being even more conservative for your first home. 25% gives you more breathing room for those unexpected costs and life changes. Second, define your non-negotiables versus your nice-to-haves. Make a list of features and characteristics that are absolute requirements versus things that would be nice but aren't deal-breakers. Location factors like commute, time, and school districts are usually non-negotiables. Things like granite countertops or a 2-car garage might be nice-to-haves. This list will help you stay focused during your search and avoid getting distracted by features that don't really matter to your daily life. It will also help you make faster decisions when you find a property that meets your non-negotiables, even if it doesn't have all your nice-to-haves. Third, do your homework on neighborhoods. Don't just drive through once. Visit at different times of day and different days of the week. Talk to neighbors if possible. Research crime statistics, school ratings, future development plans, and property value trends. Check noise levels and traffic patterns. Look into local amenities and services. Use online tools to research the area, but don't rely on them completely. Websites can tell you about crime rates and school scores, but they can't tell you about neighborhood dynamics, whether people are friendly, or if there's a house 3 streets over that throws loud parties every weekend. Fourth, get a thorough inspection and don't skip it even in competitive markets. A good home inspection can reveal problems that could cost you thousands of dollars down the road. Even if you're in a situation where you need to waive the inspection contingency to have your offer accepted, you can still get an inspection done and use the information to decide whether to proceed. Remember that you're not just buying the house as it is today, you're buying all the potential problems that might come up over the next several years. That inspection report is giving you a preview of what you might need to fix or replace. Fifth, plan for the unexpected. Set aside money beyond your emergency fund specifically for home-related expenses. Even if you buy a house in perfect condition, things will break, wear out, or need updating. Having a dedicated home maintenance fund will prevent these normal homeownership costs from derailing your finances. This fund should be separate from your general emergency fund because you'll definitely need to use it. It's not for true emergencies, it's for the predictable unpredictability of homeownership. Sixth, don't let emotions override logic. It's natural to get excited about a house, but don't let that excitement push you into making a decision you haven't thought through carefully. If you find yourself getting caught up in the emotion of a particular property, take a step back and review your list of non-negotiables and your budget. Consider bringing a trusted friend or family member to look at houses with you. Sometimes an outside perspective can help you see things you're missing when you're emotionally invested. Seventh, understand that your first home doesn't have to be your forever home. Many first-time buyers put pressure on themselves to find the perfect house that will meet all their needs for the next 20 years. This kind of thinking often leads to either paralysis or overextending financially to get a house that's bigger and more expensive than what you actually need right now. Your first home is a stepping stone, not a destination. It should meet your current needs and hopefully appreciate in value. But it doesn't have to be perfect. You can always sell and upgrade later as your income grows and your needs change. Eighth, work with professionals who understand first-time buyers. Not all real estate agents are equally good at working with first-time buyers. Look for agents who are patient, educational, and willing to explain the process thoroughly. They should help you understand market conditions, guide you through the paperwork, and advocate for your interests during negotiations. Similarly, work with a mortgage lender who takes time to explain your options and help you understand the long-term implications of different loan types and terms. Don't just go with whoever offers the lowest rate. Consider the overall service and support they provide. Finally, trust your instincts, but verify them with facts. If something feels off about a property or a neighborhood, investigate further. Maybe that feeling is telling you something important that you haven't consciously identified yet. But also, don't let unfounded fears prevent you from making a good decision. The goal isn't to eliminate all risk from home buying. That's impossible. The goal is to make an informed decision that aligns with your financial situation, lifestyle needs, and long-term goals. Here's what I want you to remember. Buyer's remorse usually isn't about the house itself. It's about the gap between expectations and reality. When you go into home ownership with realistic expectations about costs, timelines, and the process, you're much more likely to be satisfied with your purchase. Your first home doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be right for you at this stage of your life. Focus on making a smart financial decision that gives you a stable place to live while building equity for your future. If you're thinking about buying your first home, don't let the possibility of buyer's remorse scare you away from home ownership entirely. Instead, use it as motivation to be more prepared, more realistic, and more strategic in your approach. The buyers who end up regretting their purchase are usually the ones who rushed into it without proper planning or realistic expectations. Take your time, do your research, understand the real costs and responsibilities of home ownership, and make sure you're buying for the right reasons. When you approach home buying this way, you're much more likely to end up loving your decision rather than regretting it. And remember, even if you do make some mistakes along the way, they're rarely permanent. Real estate markets change. You can refinance your mortgage if rates improve. You can make renovations and improvements over time. And you can always sell and buy something different if your needs change. The most important thing is to start with a solid foundation of knowledge and realistic expectations. When you do that, home ownership can be one of the most rewarding and financially beneficial decisions you'll ever make, instead of one of your biggest regrets.